It was a beautiful sunny day at Warner Bros. Movie lot. Yakko was getting ready to perform his Nations of the World song. He was starting to get ready by washing his face, brushing his teeth, and putting on deodorant on his armpits, and spray himself with clean spray. Yakko was then called on stage and he was getting ready to perform. Yakko started to sing, and Wacko and Dot were excited. Yakko was about to perform. Suddenly, Yakko started putting his hands over his heart and screams in pain. "Oh no!" said Wacko. Yakko's having a heart attack. "Help him!" screamed Dot. An ambulance was called and Yakko wasn't feeling good. He had a bit of pain coming from his heart, and the doctor said to Wacko and Dot, it seems like he put a little bit too much spray in his mouth." "But why did he?" Wacko said. Then his heart monitor fainted. "Yakko, no!" screamed Dot and Wacko. They both started crying loudly, and they lost their big brother. There was no funeral scene, and that's how the episode ends. And that, my little pretties, was the making of Yakko's World, a Animaniacs creepypasta written by Mario Fan 213. Yeah, my final thoughts on the story. Well, I'm gonna say this right now. Mario Fan 213, thank you so much for writing this story. Thank you so much for writing this for me. This was highly appreciated, and I really do like it. So, what's my final thoughts on the story? Well, I could potentially say that this is actually one of the good Animaniacs creepypasta. Now, I'm definitely going to say this right here, right now, that the Animaniacs creepypasta that I've seen, I've seen a few creepypastas on there. I think two of them that Dave read, and one seemed pretty promising. The other one seemed interesting as well. But I think I did spot an Animaniacs creepypasta on, Go Shia Lost Episode Wiki once, and it was pretty cliched. I'm just being completely and utterly honest right there, people. Alright, my final thoughts on the story. The story was actually a decent, well-made Animaniacs creepypasta. I'm gonna not deny that. It was actually a very decent and well-made story. So, I'm gonna sit there and explain what exactly I liked about this story. Well, it's a pretty interesting, startup. Although I know it's a short Animaniacs creepypasta, so I'm not gonna complain too much about, this creepypasta being short. I'm not gonna complain about it too much, but I'll be getting to, what I, just give an explanation about the short story. So, I think this is the author's first story, so I know I don't usually rant or do anything like this or anything like that, like rants or anything. So, with that being said, I'm just going to give a few pointers out to the author with this story. So, this story was not bad. I'm not going to lie. It was not bad at all. It's not cliched madness like, like other Lost Episode pastas, but I could definitely say this one was actually a pretty interesting one. Now, of course, it has, the Animaniacs, sitting there and, doing their usual thing, and then all of a sudden, so I'm just gonna basically say Yakko was then sprayed clean spray on his mouth. Why would he spray that on his mouth? I'm not even sure if that causes a heart attack. I think it does, but I'm not too sure or what it does. So I'm definitely going to say right now that, the clean spray that was used, I think the clean spray or something is just used to, clean certain things or something. But I don't think you would sit there and, spray and, eat, put the spray thing in your mouth and, do that. No, I think that's just kind of dumb in my opinion for Yakko to sit there and do that without looking at the bottle. To be completely honest, and I'm going to be as honest as I can, the fact that Yakko was getting ready to perform and started to sing, and of course he suddenly puts his hands over his chest, so it sounded like he was choking or something when he had a heart attack. So I don't know how the clean spray would cause Yakko to have a heart attack. That's actually the main question and one of the main negatives of the story. It's not a big one, but I just want to say, why would Yakko sit there and, put some of that clean spray or something in his mouth, and then how would it cause a heart attack? That we're not even sure what kind it was. It could be maybe, I don't know, Windex or something. There's no name for the product. That's the main issue. That's the main problem with the story, is because if they're, well, not really a main problem, but, it's kind of, there's like barely any explanation of why Yakko was sitting there and having a heart attack from eating that, well, you could definitely say that spray thing he puts in his mouth and then he ends up choking, like, well, having a heart attack. So, like, there's barely an explanation of why Yakko was sitting there and doing that. Like, well, it kind of does explain why he was having a heart attack and then he was rushed to the hospital and all of a sudden he dies. So, I definitely say, I know some of it was a little cliched. Hey, characters dying, but I don't have a problem with people killing characters off in certain shows and that, unless it's done right. If it is done right and properly, then that would be understandable, and that's a good thing as long as it's done right. But if you just sit there and just kill a random character because plot says so, like in, well, Lost episode creepypastas, like ones that go Shia that have no explanation, then yeah, that is a problem with it. But I'm gonna sit there and explain it as best as I can. I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that. I'm just saying that for the sake of just trying to get the author to explain to the author how he could do to improve his writing. I do these reviews, so then people could sit there and take what they have to say, improve on their writing. Just trying to sit there and motivate the author to write more. Instead of sitting there and rant on stories like crazy, like I used to do that a lot, but I don't really do that too much a lot because of, well, other reasons. But here's the thing. If it comes to, it seems like he put a little too much spray in his mouth. Like, how would it cause it to have a heart attack unless he was diabetic or maybe he was allergic or something? Allergic reaction would probably be maybe an understandable statement, or it would be at least believable. But unless if Yakko was overweight, like obese or something, then maybe that way the story would be, an understandable concept. It would be understandable and stuff like that. So that's definitely one reason why I'm considering on, considering on, doing a video if you're going to use a certain, subject matter in a creepypasta or other stories and stuff. I might consider doing a video on that, but how to use it properly, but I don't know. So, okay. Another reason for this Animaniacs creepypasta. Well, I could definitely say it was sad for Yakko to die. That's, I'm not gonna lie. It was, not bad. But I could definitely say that they were, very sad that their big brother died. So, alright. Now, the grammar was good, but there were a couple of grammatical errors in the story, as well as some punctuation errors. Like, there were parts of the story that had run-on sentences that made the story a bit hard to read at certain parts because of, the lack of proper punctuation marks. And there were parts of the story when it's like Yakko's world, like, there should have been, like, apostrophe before the S. Like, there was, like, certain the characters' names, like Dot and Wacko and Yakko. Some of their first names were not capitalized in this story. Like, the W for Wacko was not capitalized, the D for Dot was not capitalized, and a few parts, Yakko's name wasn't capitalized, like the Y wasn't capitalized. The name of the person, place, or thing has to be capitalized the first letter, because that describes it, unless there's a reason why it shouldn't be capitalized. I'm just giving that as like a suggestion for the author. No, I'm not hating on the author or anything like that. I'm only doing this so he can improve, or she for that matter, can sit there and improve on their writing of their story. So that's just something I'm definitely going to say that right now, that the story itself was good. It was not a bad story. I'm not saying it was bad. It was not garbage or anything, not like most creepypastas nowadays. Oh my goodness. I remember that creepypasta. Well, I can't remember which one, but I remember a creepypasta on it was just messed up. The one creepypasta. I've read too many, random creepypastas in the past that has that. So, I would definitely have to say to the author, if you're going to sit there and, if you are going to sit there and basically, if you're basically going to sit there and, write something, short like this. Like, I'm not saying you can't or anything. If you're gonna sit there and do that, like, I have no problem with people writing short stories. It's just, sometimes short stories can be a pain. It's okay if you write long stories, because that's fine. But sometimes you just have to be in the middle at times when it comes to writing stories. Like, I'm not saying people can't make longer short stories. They're fine. But sometimes you just gotta be, in the middle at times. I'm not saying all the time you have to be in the middle, but sometimes you just have to be in the middle when it comes to writing long or short stories. Alright. I could definitely say the grammar needs to be polished up a bit more. That's something I could definitely say. The names of characters need to be capitalized at the beginning of their beginning of their letter of their name. And the punctuation needs to be, fixed up a bit. And then that way the story would be actually a lot more polished up. It just needed to be polished up, but it wasn't a bad story. I'm gonna give it that. It's not a bad story. It was a pretty interesting story at that, but it was just a little, just needs polishing up, and that's the one thing I could definitely say that needs to be fixed. It just needs to be polished up. Okay. I think I kind of already explained about this story, so I guess I could just sit there and, explain, what I really do like about this story. So, I could definitely say the story was not, bad. It was not bad. It was a pretty interesting story, but it needs to be polished up at certain parts. So, that's actually one of the reasons why this story is just gonna get the rating how it is. But it's not a bad story. I'm gonna give it that. It's not bad. It's not terrible. It's a pretty interesting concept. So, I guess I kind of already explained what I liked about this story. So, yeah, I'm just gonna kind of wrap up the review. So, to the author, you did a pretty good job with the story. This was not a bad story, by the way. It was an interesting one. It just needs a little bit of just kind of like an improvement. Like, continue doing what you're doing, and you'll get better. You just gotta take practice. Like, practice makes perfect. When it comes to reading, writing stories, if you practice more, you'll eventually get better. And that I could definitely promise. You will get better if you sit there and practice. You just need to practice a lot more, and you'll get better eventually over time. I guess I kind of already explained about this story, so I'm going to sit there and kind of wrap up the review, because there's not really much I can definitely say, but it was actually a pretty awesome story, really well made, and it actually was pretty interesting to see the case. So, with that being said, and that being the case, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the review. Like I'm going to say right now, this is simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story is actually going to get I'm going to give this one a 6.5 out of 10. I'm giving it a 6.5 out of 10 because it was a decent Animaniacs creepypasta. It's not perfect, I'm going to say that now. It's a little short, but I could definitely say, I don't have a problem with short stories. Like I said, I don't have a problem with long stories either, but sometimes you just have to be in the middle at times. Just saying that just for the author, if the author wants to send me another story, just to keep that in mind. So, with that being the case and that being said, yeah, I could definitely say it was a decent story. It was not bad. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't terrible either. I'm definitely saying that. It was not terrible. It was good. It was not terrible at times. But it was actually a pretty interesting concept with the story. But overall, the story was decent. It wasn't perfect, but I could definitely say what could be done to make the story a bit better is the grammar needs to be fixed up a bit. The sentence structure needs to be fixed up at times. And have a little more explanation at certain parts would be more helpful to a degree. So, Mario fan 213, you did a good job. Just take what I have to say with a grain of salt. I'm only doing these reviews because I want to help you get better with your writing. Okay, I kind of already explained about what I liked and didn't like about this story, but I'm going to go ahead and, sit there and kind of, wrap up the review. So, anyways, what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what you have done personally to help make this story a lot better? Leave me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. And if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, because I would really like to hear. And if you guys want to see brand new videos by me every single day, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and be sure to ring the notification bell to my uploads, so that way you guys will get an idea of, what you guys want to see me and stuff. So, with that being the case, with that being said, yeah, I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, roll the outro, because I'm out.